Right. We are recording audio through headset. So say the divine oracles. Good morning, my friends. Good morning, sports fans. That's what my boss Dale used to say back when I had a boss, or many of them. He still is a damn good guy. Shout out to Dale. Love you, Dale. Anywho, it is a fine day in California. It is a morning, so that makes it early for us. I'm out the door at around 10:45, 10:30-ish, and we're going to do a podcast. We're going to do a running podcast. The way that we're going to do that is by running. And there we go. Nothing to it, see? Whew. Do a little check-in, see how the knees are doing. Yeah, doing all right. Ankles, yeah, doing all right. Achilles tendons, neither too stretched nor cramping. Very nice. Found a happy little medium. Hey, puppy. Yeah, it's a sunny Tuesday. It's a sunny Tuesday. The haze is down, which means that you can see a bit more of the sky, and that's nice. Whew, I wonder if that'll continue today, because it's just going to keep heating up until 3, 4. So we'll see how that goes. Anywho, let's kick this thing off correctly by keeping track of our time and of our chronology here. So this is Right Along with Run Man. That's the name of my podcast. I'm your host. I call myself Run Man when I run like a man. And we're just covering a little bit of ground today. Whew, not a huge run planned. I've got a couple of little ideas that I might play around with. We'll see. But yeah, this should be episode 53. So we're racking them up. Really getting through. And my stomach is full of eggs and toast. 3 eggs, 2 toast. Fair amount of butter. Too much salt. Not enough hot sauce. But I was caught at the breakfast table by my housemates, and we just ended up having a good time, so I didn't slink back into my room for the hot sauces. I just ended up hanging out with those guys, which was nice. I remember being social. I remember breakfast with people. It's freaking awesome. You kidding me? Anyway, so that got me enthusiastic, right? Also enthusiastic is the, well, I guess I'm kind of doubling down because I didn't sleep that well last night. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was exactly. Sometimes it takes just a little bit longer. I woke up like 3 or 4 times with the knowledge that my system was just too amped. And I was like, all right, well, I know what to do. Put whatever effort I can into taking a breath that's longer than 6 seconds. And it didn't feel like it was helping until, of course, it did. And when it did start helping, that's when I started sleeping. So, well, I know that I got some, and that's good. How much and of what quality? I do know that I was up around the time of the sun. 6-ish. And I, again, tried to use the breathing slow technique to go back to sleep. About an hour later, I realized that I wasn't having it. And so, instead of continuing to toss and turn, I decided to do the Wim Hof breathing technique stuff, and that was good. It was quite helpful. I gave it a few extra rounds, actually. Typically we'll go 4, right? But this time, I gave it 7. And it worked. It worked really well. I could have gone back to sleep after that. I was feeling it. 7 rounds is a lot. It's like, ended up being like 35 minutes. My holds were not very long for most of the rounds. But right around the end there, we did break 3 minutes a couple of times, so that felt really good. And it definitely soothed my system. And, hey, here's a bonus. Here's another thing that got me enthusiastic. I wasn't expecting this. It could be that I've just been doing it long enough where my system anticipates what to expect a bit more. But one way or the other, I experienced less eye tingling and less lip tingling and less lip pursing. So my lips like to come together and clench. Historically, after 5 or 6 rounds. We went all 7 this time, and I was not having too big a problem with it. My mouth just stayed open, and it was easy to get the air in and out, and it was no problem. So, I mean, that was encouraging. I like that. So I got up, started doing my thing. I've got a little journaling set that I'm trying to do. There's a few odds and ends that I try to do about first thing in the morning. And I'm adding on to that little ritualistic practice set. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Right now, I'm pretty successful into the process of returning the dream journals. Returning to dream journaling, that is. And I'm just catching little bits of dreams right now. But I lapsed for a couple of months there where I really wasn't paying attention. And I certainly wasn't writing stuff down. But it's been a few days now, and I thought, that's nice. So we're doing some more journals and introspective time, and you got the coffee, and bed's made, and all kinds of good stuff. Threw on some podcasts after I was done with the music and the journaling. That was encouraging. And then after breakfast, trying to figure out what to do with myself. Since I'm motivated and enthusiastic, but also harebrained and inarticulate of mind, owing to my somewhat sleep-deprived state. It's actually been a couple of days of this. I was like, well, I don't want to go do orders. I wouldn't mind running. So I decided, all right, one more podcast, and then we'll get out the door. So I went through my morning rituals of checking my numbers and seeing what's going on social media a little bit. And this last podcast was droning on in the background. I say droning, it was actually cordial and good. It was called, well, I guess it's not really a podcast. It's just a series by a guy named Your Driver Mike. That's his channel, his YouTube channel. And he helps folks who are doing like rideshare and food delivery app related stuff. And well, that's my wheelhouse. So shout out to Mike. Thank you, Mike. I love you. And today he was chomping at the bit. He put up something a few hours ago. I was like, dude, the kids are going back to school. Dude, colleges everywhere. They're ordering like crazy. I can't deliver food fast enough. And all the orders are good. And I was like, oh shit. Good clue in. I did notice yesterday on the 2 orders that I did get to, they were both absurd. They were really good. And then things went dead for a couple hours, and then I lost all motivation. So, we'll see if we can't just grease the hinges a little bit today. I would like to be able to jump in for a little bit of the dinner rush today. We'll see. I'll definitely be able to be available for some of the lunch rush. That'll be good. You give me another 2 orders like that, and I'm a happy little clam. I don't ask for much. A couple of good orders here, maybe a little grace there. Avoid a traffic collision, the other. That's all your boy wants. That's all your boy wants. Because what are we doing out here? We're just trucking, baby. We're just trucking. It's a trucking podcast. Welcome. Welcome to Freightcast with your delivery boy, Jay Doodles. As I go about and set about and grin about. Man, between all that, I can't believe I'm podcasting right now. I didn't plan on that even more than usual. You know what? We're going to take this left. I never take this left. Yeah, I had an idea for the length of this run being like, 45 minutes. If I end up taking a weird turn and lengthening things a little bit, that might be okay. This is just a morning salute. It's just a little fist bump, a little salient sacrament. It's a beautiful day to put something good into the world. I guess that's why we're doing this. Because right now, yours truly, under the sun, running across the neighborhood, traffic light, trees swaying, leaves dropping. It's fantastic. Participating in a good moment. That's quite something. Oh, man. Yeah, so when you've got it, you gotta do something with it, right? Means that I can have a day where I'm decisive. Yesterday I noodled around for like an hour, thinking, maybe I'll do some deliveries later, maybe not, I don't know. Got some stuff done during the afternoon. And by the time 5:30 or 6 rolls around, I'm like, well, I'm either going to do it or I'm not. I'm kind of in between things, kind of folding clothes and keeping up this part of the room and cleaning up that little didgeridoo. Maybe we'll talk about didgeridoos later. I have had some fun recent insights with didgeridoos. But, I was like, hell with it. I'm going to go across the street and see if there's any discounted single beers at my local grocery store. And there were. And they were big. And they were strong. And they were cheap. I was like, oh shit. Oh, I just, by the grace of the good one, here I am. So, the day was not a loss. I think I'll try to pivot the other way today. Take a slight turn for the more industrious. And I think I'll be rewarded, according to your driver, Mike. So we'll see. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it in the air. And tomorrow, we'll see. I might have overbooked myself tomorrow. I moved some things around with some people. And I hope I haven't caused any schedule conflicts with my own availability, but we'll see. We'll see. It's all very low stakes. It's all very, I don't know, we'll see. I've got no qualm with tomorrow. In fact, I'm feeling pretty, I guess we're just going to overuse this word, huh? Enthusiastic about teeing off into the next month. Ending this one with a little kiss. Little kiss. Thank you, August. You have been a saucy dame for the better. You have shone on me. I took a fair amount of time off earlier this month. I really put some time in on some inner work. Now it's time to face forward and soldier on so that we can really get some next month. Some of what, you ask? I don't know. I don't know. It's clear that there's something for us on the horizon. Well, I can only speak for myself. It's clear to me that something's in the wind. Good stuff is coming. Good stuff is happening. Whew. Whether it be food deliveries, these runs, I don't know. There's just a change in the wind. Maybe I'm finally adjusting to my living conditions having changed a little bit recently. And I'm looking forward to them changing again sometime. How soon? I don't know. I'm playing it by ear right now. Or to put it less action sequency, playing it by month. But I'm enjoying the dance. Do a little research, see what's available here and there. Cruise these neighborhoods. Build up that bank for later nostalgia. Get to talking. Get to talking a little bit more. It's good to talk. Man. Yeah, it's a numbers game. But the numbers are coming in, and that's good. If we can do better, more's the better. Man. I'm rewatching some of the later seasons of Survivor Man. And I feel so I'm like mad respect for Survivor Man, because he does what we're doing right now, except there's no other people anywhere, and he's got a shit ton more camera gear, and he's got no shelter and nothing. He's got no equipment, or very little of both, very little of either, and he's just out there surviving. That's Survivor Man. The guy's name is Les Stroud. He's not a run man. He's a Survivor Man. Good for you, bro. Rock and roll. He's got a chest cam, and he's got like a tripod that he holds in one arm that points at him while he forages through the thicket. And he's got some other stuff that he can set up here and there for still shots, but yeah, he'll stay in the bush for a week. We're only here for like an hour, and I'm already tired. If that. What's it been, 20 minutes so far? Maybe. I don't know. Time check. 17:43. Jesus. Not even. Ugh. Whew. Yeah, you know. I always thought it was hilarious how out of breath Survivor Man always sounds when he's addressing the camera. What I always forget is that guy's been tromping uphill through marshes and snow for days. Actual days. Foodless, sleepless, bitter days. And he's trying to help other people survive by displaying that it's possible in real time. Well, not real time. He has cuts and stuff. This episodes end up being like half an hour long. An hour or something like that. Anywho. I am not a Survivor Man. I've never tried to build a fire. Never once. At least not on my own. I would say that I've contributed to fires. You build the tripod TP thing. You get the powdery stuff. You get the twiggy stuff. You get the sapling stuff. You get the big log stuff. You get the beers. You get the boys. You get the dogs. The chili. And the campfire stories and the s'mores. You get it all set up. Get the trucks and the tents and everything. And you're ready to have a good fireside time. But you know what? You know something? You know something right now? I've lost my bucket list. I've been making and updating one. There's been a few generations of bucket lists. I've done a couple of things on my bucket list. Maybe making a fire is one of them, you know? Fairly certain that I could make a fire bow if I had to. I'm proficient enough with whittling to prospect a decent piece of wood to make into a thing, and another to make into the other thing. I wonder how good I'd be at that. Probably pretty shitty, but man, it doesn't matter if it works. All you need is one. For the bucket list, anyway. I better phrase it good. I better phrase it, learn how to make a fire with a fire bow. That reads better than start a fire. I can't even say that too loud where I live. Oh God, I'm laughing. What a fucking monster. Oh God. Whew. Really though, those hills are pretty hazy right now. Not as bad as they've been. And the sky isn't gray. But there's definitely a bit of a tint even now. It'll probably increase as the day does. Alright. Meanwhile, I don't know what to do with this place. California. I like this state, man. I like it. The land is interesting. It's really interesting here. You get woodlands, you get deserts. But I do think time is doing what time does so well. And it's going around changing everything. Change is the name of the game. I'm on board, but man, what does that mean for people who live in areas that are closer to these fires in this land? They just pop up all over the place. We kind of had our turn and came out. Most folks that I know came out pretty well. A lot of folks that I know a lot of people that did not work out so well and they had to move. And I do know people who lost pets. I do know folks that are still recovering years later because their houses didn't make it. I do know a lot of those people. And we barely really got kissed by it. Some places are just... Boy, you reach out with your heart. There's some good people. If this place wants to become a singular arid sunbeam, so be it. But it'd be really nice if by some unseen series of adjustments and appointments by the powers, some sequence of events takes place where people have places to go, places to live that are good and easy to reach for, find, obtain, and live in, that are a little bit, God, that are in other places that are less likely to be on the next roll of the dice of this periodic seasonal series of cataclysms we have here in California. I don't think it's going to stop being this way here for a while. And that's okay. It just is what it is, and I'm talking a bunch of nonsense. I find myself hypercritically analyzing everything that I'm saying. I feel like every word that I'm saying is paying some form of a grievous disrespect to somebody and their family and their land. Talking about the human race as a race, a material thing with a spirit. Sometimes it gets really foggy and really soggy and really weedy. Because I want the land to be what it needs to be, but I also want people to be what they want to be too. And we should be able to live here if we want to. I know it's been like this elsewhere in the world too. I know in ancient Japan, back when everybody lived in paper, of all things, there was a pretty advanced for the time and robust complex, cultural complex around the treatment of and interaction with fires. There was always a quick reaction, right? And so they did what they did, you know? They lived in these homes. Some of these homes were susceptible, and then the society changed to address that susceptibility. And that changed what was susceptibility into a vulnerability. We can work with vulnerability. We can become resilient through practice. One step at a time, 1 year at a time, one season at a time. I've known some firefighters. Some of the stuff those boys do, holy moly. And ladies. I know a lot more lady paramedics than I do lady firefighters. But goddamn, hats off to the ladies, the dames, the rockin' lassies. Saving lives, man. Saving lives. Making things better. A lot of opportunities for courage in these parts, and all parts. But, yeah, hats off. Hats off. Didn't think I was gonna... I gotta see this. This was back at the stop sign. Back at the stoplight. Like 5 minutes ago. Didn't think I was gonna keep talking about disastrous local phenomena happening more and more regularly as time goes on in these parts. But I said one thing, thought I might have said it wrong, thought I might have said it in an off-color way, and then spend all this time backpedaling while I'm looking at it now. Backpedaling, qualifying. Yeah. It points to a habit. It's not just a preference for speech patterns. It's definitely a habit. I default to it all the time. Listen to me introduce anything or anyone. I'll spend time defining terms within the definitions of terms. I'll be introducing introductions to people and various material that I want to go over while we're out here on the trail. And I say that like I'm frustrated at it. That's not all that's there. There's also an acknowledgement like, oh yeah, that complex wants to do something. That complex grew to the size that it is with its sway in my subconscious. For a reason, it's trying to address a need or an issue that may or may not exist in my world anymore. Yeah. It's like, you know, a part of why, I mean, I'm not a stand-up comic, and I probably never will be, but one of the few times, there were a good half a dozen times that I seriously considered, wrote down some material, went through in my mind's eye what it might be like to do good, okay, or bad as a stand-up comedian at a cafe or a pub or something. When I considered it, one of the things I thought would have been truly useful to my character. Had I adopted that profession at whatever skill level or talent level, I don't know what I would be showing the world really. But I'll tell you one thing, I can almost guarantee you. It would be useful to my character because of the amount of times I would have to deal with sounding like an asshole and interacting with that complex, that backpedaling spirit. One thing the comedians do that I love is they'll say something audacious and seemingly mean-spirited. Hell, they might even be mean. And just as often as they backpedal or qualify a statement and trick you so that you laugh, you're like, oh, that was funny, that's right. I was so ready to be offended. The other thing that they'll do is the exact opposite. They'll double down. They'll be like, yeah, that's right, and fuck you. And half the time, those people have cultivated audiences that are used to that behavior pattern. And those guys will laugh even harder because the comedian's calling them out. I love that shit. It would have been really rewarding to interact with that part of my psyche more actively, professionally. Like, that's the reason why we have professions, right? There's things that are useful to cover in terms of a practice over and over again until you've got a fine blade. There's places in life where that's very useful. There is a place for profession. There's a place for long-term practice. And there's a place for making some money while you're at it. I think that's wonderful. I think a lot of people find themselves in just that situation, where they're developing skills and looking inward, or looking around themselves at their lives, finding stuff to tune up. And while they're tuning it up, people come in and gain from the experience or deliver their own, share in theirs. There's a lot of mutual growth happening. It's beautiful. It's really something. And it's everywhere. Whether you're a comedian or not. Most of the times, when I've truly and really sounded quite the ass, have been times when I've been worried about looking, sounding, feeling like quite the ass, and then tried to pivot from a place of stress, from a place of trying to cover myself and beat a retreat. God, I had a conversation the other day where I was basically doing what I just did with the fires around here, but it was with other matters. And I had a live audience. And wouldn't you know, my live audience rose to the challenge. As soon as I made this offhand remark or that callous